Welcome back to Hard Not Life Sailing. Today we're going to continue on with the hardtop build. First step is to feed the wires through the channel that was previously made, and then this will be glassed over, making it a solid stringer. Rounded spatula. Alright, it's the next day and the filler I put in here is mostly dry. It's still a little soft in parts, but it's dry enough for me to do the next application. So what I'm going to do is just run some pre-cut cloth tapes over here to reinforce this. I fed in the wires into the channel that I cut earlier. Got it bunched up here where the front of the pilot house will connect to the boat, and then running down here to our light fixture will be a light fixture in the middle and then 4 along the back here. I don't know what's available here yet for the light fixture, so I'm just going to get the wire out. It's probably not going to be one with a switch on it because that's only 2 inches wide. So I'll probably have to run a switch inside the pilot house to turn that on and off, or right inside the boat. But probably the pilot house would be fine. Alright, to wrap this up, I got this all on here. I got those pieces of wood just to keep the wires pinched down, and some foam with tape in a couple spots to keep the wires pressed down there wanting to lift up. So I'm going to leave this overnight. Probably have to do little touch-ups tomorrow, but at least then the wire will be held down and the next layer will be a little bit easier. Alright, good morning. Next day here. We got these supporting cloths laid now for the stringers. This morning all I did was take my Dremel and kind of cleaned up where the seams are and a few little imperfections. There's the odd bubble like that, but that's up against the foam. I'm not worried about that. It's not going to decrease the strength here because the foam is not load bearing. It's just to make the shape. The next layer of glass has got to go down a little bit flatter. There was little imperfections here where it bubbled while I was gone. Trying to keep the wires laid flat was a little challenging because there's so many wires tucked into here. So I'm gonna cut some sections of glass and just do a little bit of patchwork right now, and then come back in a little bit and do a second layer of glass over all this today. Hopefully this will last a little longer. This is for wood and plastics. This surprisingly died fast. So when we took it off and laid it down, it's still much more flimsy than I'd like. Even with the stringers and the glass, it still can lay flat on the ground. I'm hoping when we put it on here, that's gonna take that contour again. So it's gonna take some playing around with it. I leveled it best I can, but these pieces of wood aren't perfectly straight either. So it's going to take some shimming and playing, but should be able to get it back in place. The top layer is going to have a lot more glass, so that should help it keep the form. So it did not hold the shape, even with the stringers and the 2 layers of 10 ounce. I'm gonna play around with these legs as much as I can, and worst case scenario, which hopefully doesn't come to it, I'll have to lay the glass up on here, put some tape down on here so that nothing sticks to it, and clamp these down to keep the shape. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. These blades are dulling very quickly. Meant for wood, but got what I got. So I've got my PVC strips here cut. This is for the drip edge. It's going on here like that. I'm going to cut the profile here, here, and here after it's installed. But before I work with it, I want to sand it all down so that the polyester resin adheres to it. Now that it's been roughed up so the resin adheres to it, I'll be marking where the corners are and scoring it with a saw so that the PVC will bend easier. My first attempt it just snapped, not realizing how brittle it really is. So now that I have the slots cut in it and I use a heat gun, this material bends very easily, and with using some thickened resin, it stays in that shape very strong. Alright, gonna mix up some thickened resin here. We're gonna glue that on. Got a 1/4 cup, like fermentation. We'll see how far that goes. stuff is very bad for you. You gotta wear a mask. When I didn't have the mask, I was holding my breath in the videos when I was butt joining the sheets together. Alright, I'm gonna keep on bending these. This is my last one. So I got a pretty good curve here already. It doesn't stay here by itself 100%, but it's pretty good. Just a little rock right here is enough to hold this in place. This stuff is very flexible. I'm gonna work this corner here just a little bit more. And now that I have this here, I can see I just gotta trim that just a little bit with a sander. So I get a nice tight fit. So that was about 150% silica per volume of liquid. Gave me thick enough that it doesn't drip. Alright, now that I've got this all hardened up, it's the next day. Turned out very nice, I'm happy with it. I'm going to recycle all those screws. Alright, ready to do my edging now. I want to round this over. I did a little test piece right here, and that's just what I want. It's nice and smooth, and that's what a round over bit looks like. You just bring up the tabletop flush with this last tooth so that the tooth doesn't dig in. That's if you want an added profile. I don't want a profile, I just want a continuous circle. Gonna get a little spray silicone and put it on this tabletop, make it a little slicker, and grease this bearing. I'll be right back. Next up, filling. I mixed up a pretty big batch this time because I gotta fill a lot. Mixed up another batch of thickened resin. Just want to fill in the seam a little bit, make it smoother, and then go around the bottom here. Now all the edging's done, I'm just wetting out the surface. It's good to wet out the honeycomb first, let it get tacky, and then kind of go over it again so that this resin doesn't soak through and drip inside of it. So I'm quickly going around that and getting everything wetted out, and I'm going to press on the fabric and get a coat, at least get a layer of glass on this edging. Follow along. Alright, so it is the next day, and the edging turned out beautifully. There's just a few spots around the curve of the front. I should have cut some more slots in, so if you're doing the same, be sure to do that. Cutting some more slits in the cloth that wraps over the front and the bottom. You can see here, there's some wrinkles there. It's not going to change much. I'm just going to grind them down, and we're going to be putting another coat over top of it. So it's not going to change the structural integrity as long as my next coat covers over top of that. I'm just taking the lumps off so the next layer of glass goes over flat. After grinding away a few of the imperfections and where folds occurred, I'll be laying a second layer of glass now over top of the drip edge grab handle. Thank you so much for watching. In our next video, we'll be fiberglassing the top and continuing on with the finishing of it. That's almost the end of the structural portion of this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Tune in next week.